Louise, welcome. We are putting beeswax in, what you call it, beeswax and boiled linseed oil on this stump table. It apparently looks really good when it finishes. So welcome, Ruiz. Glad to have you back, man. Let me get my heat gun. So I have to heat gun it a lot. Wherever I put that thing. Wait, what does the beeswax do? It seals it, man. Waterproofs it. It's basically just the shellac that I'm using. It's working like a shellac. Welcome, J&J. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's beeswax and boiled linseed oil. It's a tricky two substances to work with because they don't emulsify and like they don't liquefy real easily, but they create a great like natural coating if you don't want to use polyurethane. So that's what I'm using, and I kind of came up with the mixture here myself. I didn't like look up any YouTube videos, just from my experience from using beeswax to make soaps and various things. I just figured it would probably make a good seal, and I use it on cutting boards also a lot. But great question, JJ. Appreciate you. And in order for me to get it to emulsify or like level out on the surface, I go after it with a heat gun and kind of like let it melt, settle, and then do it again. It's had solvents put in it, but it didn't do anything. It stayed thick regardless. But for some reason, I like it. Like the way the consistency, you can see it's real shiny, like it's been shellacked. So I do like that aspect of it. This yesterday, I took out the ads yesterday, Ruiz, and chipped bark off with the ads. See, this is gonna come out. See, it's gonna freeze on me. I don't know if you guys can see that with the camera. It's gonna freeze somewhat. I want to get it in this spot. Here. But the bottom is just not as coated as the top here. So I'm gonna mix this on this side here. We're gonna get this. I think I got mosquitoes biting me. Nah, the table's not sold. Nope. But I have sold many of these. I have not put this table up for sale yet. If you're interested, you're on my Discord, so you can DM me. We can talk about it, but I don't. These are kind of expensive. Like, not saying you want it, just saying if you know somebody that would or something like that, we can talk about it. I don't necessarily monetize everything, you know. I don't try to monetize everything. It's a sweet looking table though, no doubt about it. I sold one of these to a lady in DC, and she paid me so much money. My son and I drove it into DC and put it in for her. And that was quite a drive from where I live. She lived in Southwest, so it was like I hadn't been to DC in years. It looked so different. I lived there, and I hadn't been there for a number of years. Yeah, the beeswax seals and waterproofs it. Also, I've been going after the bark to try to get whatever insects are in there out of there. So yesterday I found like a little insect nest. Heat gunned the mess out of that. Put beeswax and linseed oil on that. So whatever's in there is going to be highly encouraged to get out. This is not a hospitable environment right now with me working on the stump, you know, twice or 3 times a day. Oh, the Calvin sit-on structural test. I definitely would sit on this, no problem. Though the weakness is the hairpin legs say that they have 150-pound capacity. I usually get the best end ones, and I've stood on stuff with these hairpin legs on it, and they can handle a little more, but they're classified for 150 pounds, and I'm a little bit more than that. I'm just a hair over that. Let's just put it like that. Actually, I'm a lot of. Oh yeah, man, heat gun is heat gunning today, man. I actually love this thing now. Look how it emulsifies and spreads the stuff out. Like I don't even really have to spread it. You saw me wipe it and it turned white, and then I just heat gun it. It evens itself out. Pretty sweet. I might go around the stump and chisel little things today. Chisel little bits because there's some of these spots I'm suspicious that there's insects in it, and I want to make sure that this thing is like when you put one of these in a house, you want it to look like a stump, but you don't want it to act like a stump. And stumps have insects, and bark has insects in it, and bark is rough and scratches people. So I went around with the adze yesterday. That's this tool right here, and I went after the bark, chip, chip, chip. I don't want to do it now because I've coated most of it, and there may be a couple spots I can do, but I went boop, boop, boop with the adze everywhere here, and went around the whole thing, took off the bark where it was, try to bring down the furrowing of the bark a little bit. Appreciate it, Ruiz. Friend of the program, Ruiz, man. Very reliable. I did put a short up with the adze today. So we're in North Carolina here, J&J. I feel like I've had J&J on here before. J&J, you ever been here before? I feel like I've seen you come through before. Chardonnay, big time friend of the program, Chardonnay. I do often, but also a Chardonnay former student too, not to put her on blast like that. Chardonnay 1N, right? So in my video today, Chardonnay was, special thanks to Chardonnay was 2 N's. So apologies for that, Chardonnay. Do you ever chemically seal or stain the wood? I don't, yes, but not in this case. I don't like to use polyurethane. I don't like to use chemical solvents. Whenever possible, I use natural solvents like citrus solvent. But today, the solvent's already been added to look, the beeswax is already solidifying. So I'm trying to add it while it's still hot. It's freezing in there. So the answer is not often, I guess, Chardonnay. I don't often seal with chemicals, but this is like this beeswax and linseed oil mixture that I made seals and waterproofs really well. Acts like a shellac. A real shellac is natural, you know, comes from insect shells. It's actually edible, food safe, similar to the stuff that they make red dye with. So I'm so glad Chardonnay is here. Welcome, Chardonnay. Huge friend of the program. Big time friend of the program, Chardonnay. You still get your shout outs even when you're not here, though. So you know. I shouted you out yesterday, shouted you out on the short. Definitely making sure you get some respect on here. Where did I get the wood? All right, this piece of wood came from Emporia, Virginia. When I left Emporia, Virginia, somebody cut down an oak tree, a power company, and I saw a slice of it was fairly level. I know how difficult it is to level these stumps. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? Friend of the program, Daniel Gandara. Welcome to the program, Daniel. I got this one from Emporia. I brought it back here. I took a chainsaw and sliced some more off of it. I had one of my sons level plane the top of it. And then I made a router jig and went over the other side of it with a router jig. After I cured it, though, it cured for about a year and a half and dried. And I put this stuff called Pentacryl. It's a like a safe wood stabilizer. Yeah. So yeah. So this stump came from Virginia. It moved from one state to the other. That's what happened. It's a big hunk of oak. If you had smell-o-vision, you'd smell it every time I turn the heat gun on. It reacts. Let me heat gun this stuff right here because it's starting to freeze on me. Yeah, everybody's here tonight. That's good. Last night was a good night for views. Miss y'all, Miss Chardonnay, Miss Daniel, but y'all were definitely getting shout outs last night anyway, you know. So I'm glad you're both here today. Also Ruiz, glad Ruiz is here. I got this new person JJ in the chat, so it looks like a good night, guys. We're gonna be hanging out. I'm gonna go over this bark, mostly with the heat gun, but with some of this wax too, just to make sure that I've got like the little furrows and stuff kind of covered. If you watched my short, you saw me kind of just basically buttering in wax into the furrows on the bark and then melting it. I'd rather that and it have like I might even go over it with sandpaper today a little bit. That might help the wax get in also. When people walk past a table and they bump it, it hurts. But when people walk past a stump table and bump it, it hurts a lot. So you want to make sure that you take the bark and you soften those edges on the bark, especially if there's little kids around. People are going to bump into it, and you don't want to knock off bark on your floor, and you don't want people to get hurt on it. So this wax actually, in combination with me softening up the edges with some sandpaper, like some really low grit sandpaper, it's going to make the table like, I'm not going to say child safe, but more child friendly than it was before. Yeah, and of course, Chardonnay, you are welcome. Thank you for your support. And, you know, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That might expand at some point. We come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 5:30. You know, we talk about everything here. So. Everything but politics. We don't do much politics on here. Thank goodness. It's the only place not talking about politics. I just don't. I just can't. Sorry. I want out. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That'll have to go on the Discord. Most of y'all are members of the Discord. J&J, feel free to, yeah. J&J, feel free to join the Discord. I think my link's up on there. I'm gonna chisel in this spot right here. I'll show y'all, and so I can get some wax in this corner. This little spot right here, I'm a little suspicious about what might be lurking in there. So I'm gonna actually take my chisel and punch some of that stuff out of there. Probably take a thinner one here. All the schmutz that's in there kind of gets out. I just want to make sure there's nothing living in there. I want to make sure I get wax into that area too. That's the tricky thing about working with stumps. It's unpredictable, and there's areas you can't get to. So if you're when you treat a piece of wood, like Chardonnay was asking about chemical sealants. When you treat a piece of wood, it's always wise to treat all sides of it, especially if you're applying a liquid or a finish, you know, a liquid, any kind of solvent, liquid, wax, coating of any kind, especially even when it's petroleum based, doesn't matter. The wood is going to react to that moisture, and you want to give it the best chance of not moving as possible. You don't want the wood to move when it's at. Oh, so yeah, there's a lot of schmutz in there. I mean, this is okay for a stump, but not okay for a table, because this stuff might eventually fall off onto the floor, and also stuff could be living in there. So I'm gonna get that area. A lot of like the bark is real compressed in there. All these little areas where it's deeply furrowed or there's a curve in the tree, I'm gonna try to get after those spots. Kind of mess up the top of the table a little bit probably. Welcome to Dad's Workshop though. Please subscribe, click the like button, click the bell, drop a comment, join the Discord, join the community. That's what this is. I really need to make this so you guys can see it. So you see this little crevasse right here, this little crevice I've got. I took the bark out of that just to make sure there's no insects. That's why I'm sweeping off the table right now, right there. And then I'm gonna put some wax, I'm gonna like butter in some wax in there with my hand probably, up through the top. And just, I'm gonna heat it up and just let it drip down in that spot. This project right here is it's a project a beginner could do for sure. Like this was one of the first woodworking projects I did, was a stump table. It's a fun project. It's a conversation piece. So if you can find, if someone is cutting a tree down around you and you see there's a nice stump cookie, just make sure you don't take certain tree types. Like you don't want sweet gum tree, right? You have to know how to identify your wood types. You don't want a sweet gum tree, it's gonna move too much. I've done it with pecan before, but pecan moves after it's reached its ambient moisture level of like 14%. It moves also. So you want walnut, you want an oak, You want maple, something like that. Even pine. Those can be really good, but you don't want like sweet gum. I've done pecan successfully, but I had to use a lot of wood juice and give it a lot of time to dry out. So no, Chardonnay said, I heard the story about your neighbor trying to get his dog to attack you. Is he always that aggressive? No, no, he's never done that before. And I thought I was being paranoid. You know me, I'm a little weird. But I'm telling you, this man sicked his dog on me like 3 or 4 times while I was standing there. I think he's since like, I don't know, gone to jail. I don't think I saw him in that car this morning. I thought they were going to run me over. So I was like running off the road. Every time I see that car, give me PTSD. But no, he doesn't do that all the time. Like I was pretty sure he was on some bath salts or crack or something. Man, I don't know what was going on. Great question. He's never done that before. You're making me think about it. It's so weird. Such a weird thing, man. I mean, really, I'm on my P's and Q's right now. Like I'm on my toes all the time. We're on our toes here. I'm not playing around. I don't expect he is. You know, if you stick a dog at me, you obviously got some balls, you know, to a point where I need to make sure that I'm straight. Like I'm not in danger and the people I love are not in danger. So I'm definitely like in full alert right now. I'm not like laughing it off like it was nothing. It was something. And then he went to church. He got dressed up, got in his car, and went to church. The irony. Or maybe not, I don't know. You know? Yeah. Bizarre is right. Bizarre is right. Bizarre behavior, bizarrely erratic behavior. Like why on that day? You know, I don't know. Maybe I did a couple of things when I was running that irritated him. I get tired of dogs chasing after me. I mean, I'm not really scared of dogs. I have 9 dogs here. Um, but I do get tired of dogs sneaking up on me on runs when I got earpieces in. So every once in a while, like they get me, I buck at them or something like that. Or make like an air gun signal at them in case their owner's looking out the window. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. They get on my nerves, you know. So it's possible maybe he saw that, but like I haven't even seen that dog in a minute. I don't even know if that's his dog or one of his friends' dogs. I'm starting to think it's a family member's dog, and he's just, I don't know. I'm about to start cursing. I don't want to do that. I lose my monetization potential. But anyway, went to church right afterward. Great question, Jane. Jane J said, do you store them? I think she's referring to the stumps. Do you store them in any particular way? The best way to take these stumps and to cure them, when they're green, by green I mean they are still wet. They've been cut down from a live tree. You take the stump and you put it in either a big plastic bag that's open. You don't want to close the plastic bag because then mildew will form, and it could form anyway. Put sawdust or wood chips, not mulch, like dry sawdust, dry wood chips in there, and let it cure very slowly in that bag. Burp the bag like, you know, once every couple days to make sure there's no mildew growing. If there's mildew growing, take the stump out of the bag. You want it to dry slow because what will happen is cracks will form toward the center of the stump, right? And you will have a useless stump that will cup, it will twist, it will bend, and it will warp, and it will crack. And that's why it's difficult to do these. Stumps are a good woodworking project for beginners, as long as, ooh, I burned myself on my heat gun. Ooh, that hurt. But you have to take care of them while they're curing, because while they're curing, if you do it wrong, they'll split, they will twist, they'll cut, and all those things that you don't want to happen. That'll make your table useless. On my first one, I had it cracked down the middle, so what I did was I took a piece of wood in the shape of a bow tie. I cut a bow tie relief in with like a router. I installed the piece of wood in there so it would stop the crack from spreading, and it looked really cool, you know. So that's what I did with that. Give me 1 second. Put some ice on my hand where I burnt myself. The heat gun is live right now. It's my right hand. I need that hand. All right, I'm back. Yes, so it wasn't. You're right, Chardonnay. It's not the dog. It's the owner. Absolutely, I acknowledge that. Thanks. Right on my middle finger knuckle. There? Under my middle finger knuckle. Yeah, and I can't do that again. Yeah, I do like resin. I have a 2-part resin up on the shelf. I saw a video a while back of a guy who made a table out of a poison ivy vine, which I thought was pretty creative. Obviously the vine, once he dumped all the resin into the middle of the table, you couldn't get poison ivy from it. So that one was a cool one. I've seen waterfall tables with resin where they cut reliefs out of them and then dyed it with aqua, like an aqua color. Thanks, babe. So yeah, I have seen those. I have 2-part resin up on the counter. I've done some stuff with it. What I would like to make, you just reminded me, what I like to make on this channel with this slab of walnut that I have is a floating waterfall table where it only has one visible leg, and then you put plexiglass in the middle of it. Let me show you what my concept is, and you can tell me whether you like it. Kind of dusty, and I probably showed this slab before, but this is a slab of walnut right here. It's one of my last slab of walnut from a huge walnut board that I had. A lot of dust on it, but it's a beautiful piece of old growth walnut. So, and it's been milled in the old fashioned way. You can see the mill marks on it. What needs to happen with it, and I'm going to try to do it like this. There's going to be a line routed through the middle of it. And then you put plexiglass to hold the center of the table up. And then on one side, you have a board like this that's dovetailed into this corner. So it looks like plexiglass is clearer than glass. So what it looks like is the table only has one leg. It's a freaking awesome design. If you look at it, a floating waterfall table, look on Pinterest, they are pretty sweet and they are expensive. But I would take this walnut. I'm gonna use this last beautiful piece of walnut that I have. Very proud of this piece and didn't want to use it until I had a great idea. And I'm gonna take this walnut and I'm gonna do a floating waterfall table. I don't know if I'm gonna use resin though. I'm not an expert with pouring that resin. It has to be done in a very particular way. Also, when you pour resin, you have to have a dust-free environment. You need to have a dust collection system in the air because the resin is going to collect all of the particles of dust in the air. So if you don't cover your room, like make a tent with plastic and get negative air in there, then you probably will have trouble with dust and schmutz getting in your resin. I have a flow hood but it would have to sit in front of the flow hood constantly. That is, I have a laminar flow air system. I rarely ever use it, and it's on the other side of the room. I built it myself. So yeah. Yeah, and one part of my resin is yellowed, so I'm like not psyched to use it. I kept it in the garage, and one part of it yellowed pretty good. So I'm afraid that if I mix it up, it's gonna have that yellow color that it gets on a bar top after it's been on the bar top for a while, and I don't want it to look like that, you know? But yeah, I love those resin things. When they're done right, they look great. Burnt the crap out of myself. So yeah, but that's a good idea to do something with resin on this channel. Is definitely a great idea. I'm definitely not an expert in resin, have not done a lot of work with it. So it would be a learning process for me a bit. The woodworking part I can handle, but the pouring of the resin is almost like a special skill. I recently was doing stuff with concrete. If you watch my my shorts and stuff, you can see I make concrete vessels for candles, you know. So that was something I've been doing recently. I'm a crafty person. I like to do crafty stuff, you know. Just I don't limit myself on that. Oh, appreciate it, J&J. Take care if I didn't catch you. J&J, new friend of the show. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. It's Dad's Workshop. Click that like button, click that subscribe button, drop a comment, let us know you're here. Let me give you a shout out for being here in the room, for being you, for choosing this place of all places in the world to be at this moment today, which I appreciate. You know, I taught for many years at Chardonnay Nose, and when I was teaching, the people in my room had no choice on where they were going to be. I like to think that it's different now, and that the people that are here are all choosing to be here, and that makes a difference, guys. Kids aren't learning in the same way that they were learning back in the day. Kids are going to school to take standardized tests, and that's unfortunate and sad, and it's only for some kids and not for others. Creative kids and kids with some trauma, they don't take tests well, but they may be talented and may have things to offer. They don't get to choose where they are. They just get shoved into a box and told that if they don't do well on one particular thing, their value as a human is not there, and that hurts me. Breaks my heart to watch people be devalued based on the scores on the test. Yeah, it's a flawed system, and where the money goes, it all goes to the administration, the principals, and all of them. They're to blame. I don't care what anyone says. The administration in many of the schools in this country is what the problem is. They'll take any money they get. They're not selfless people. They're money driven often, and the money is going to them. It's the bonus for teachers. This is drops in the bucket. The superintendent is usually getting paid six figures, you know, as much as the president of the United States is making. You know, it's an elitist system. It's usually insiders running stuff. The failing schools are run by failing administrators who don't know how to succeed. They don't know how to go to a place and succeed there. So they go there, they fail, and then they move to another place and fail there, and they get a bigger check, and they get promoted up and out. And they say a lot of nice stuff that sounds good. Give lip service to bullying and things like that they couldn't care less about. And they just let the kids do what always has happened, which is many of them fall in the cracks. And don't try to sit here and tell me that that's the natural way of life for 50% of kids to fall between cracks and not succeed. That is not the natural way of life. People have roles that they play. And I'm sorry I reduced my my viewership by saying all that stuff, but you know, has to be said. Sorry. People learn this way. Trust me, I had Chromebooks in my classroom. I know. The kids, I had one girl, all she did when she finished her work was watch cooking videos. A lot of that gave me clues as to what the way people learn is, you know? People want to know how to do something. Do they go ask a teacher? Do they go sign up for a class at the university? No. They flip on a YouTube channel. Now, I'm not saying that people do, you know, what do you call it? You know, like bowel surgery that way. Though there used to be YouTube videos on how to give yourself bypass surgery. But next to that, like fixing your car, building something, learning how to do advanced math, learning a different language, all of those things, they're free and available to you. Look at what the kids in other countries are doing with videos, especially in Africa. Those kids get one phone in the community and they're making viral videos within a week. The talent disparity here, like American kids are systematically having the creativity siphoned out of them day by day. And that's unacceptable to me. Yep. It took me a long time, Chardonnay, but I did finally learn to love even the kids that hated me, you know, and show love all the time. And what I did in the end was I just called parents all the time. I called whenever things happened. I didn't even go to the principal. I just went straight to parents. And I'd say, this is what I'm seeing with your child. It very much concerns me. And I showed love to them. And I never had one parent get mad at me. I never got in one fight with a parent, probably my last 5 years of teaching. Because what I did was pick my phone up and call that parent. And I didn't play around, man. And that's what has to happen in this system the way it is there needs to be communication between teachers directly to parents. And then we can cut the administrators out. We don't really need them, honestly. Administrators, there was a couple days when I was at the school, and you know what school I was at, Chardonnay. There's a couple days where the principal was out my last year teaching. They were the best days of the year. How is it that the school functions better as a well-oiled machine without the principal there? It's because the principals and administration are often toxic forces in the building. And that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. So then they move on to their next school and take their next job. Teachers just can't do that. We get stuck. We're at a bad school. We maladjust, you know, and then we get stuck somewhere. And I say we, but I'm not a teacher anymore. I am not. When people call me Mr. C, now I tell them to call me Calvin. I'm not a teacher anymore, and I never will be. I'll never go back. I'll have the skin sloughed off my body before I go back. Me too, Chardonnay. It breaks my heart too. I can't go back, man. Here, my sister's a teacher, my brother's a teacher. When I hear them talking about school, I have to walk out of the room. I can't even stand in there. It's not that I yearn to go back. I don't. I feel bad for them. I genuinely feel bad for them. They feel bad for me. What does this unemployed guy do? No, I'm happy. I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't wake up and get a red face as soon as I enter my job from anxiety and deal with a principal waiting for me in my room every day, standing in my classroom to intimidate me. You know, it's crazy, man. And teachers take the brunt of everything. It's teachers if the school is failing tests. It's teachers if kids are doing stuff in the bathroom. It's teachers not watching. I think people need to wake up. Something happens in the cafeteria. Is it teachers that are supposed to be watching? Their contract says they're supposed to have a free and duty-free lunch. Why is it that it's the teacher's fault if something happens in the cafeteria? Because it's not. It's the principal's and administration's fault when those things happen. Teachers are not there to discipline kids in the hallway. They're there to provide instruction. Yeah, thank you, Chardonnay. Yeah, you know, I'm not there yet, but this is a long journey, and you know, I'm glad you're here with me on it, and that you stopped through at least. You know, I hope to see you back and around. Definitely appreciate your presence, your spirit. I know how good of a person you are. You know, so definitely glad to have somebody who knows that where I was before I was here. That's important. Because you know how tough that place is. I think it's tougher than anywhere in the country. Honestly, I don't think that rural schools like that, they don't get as much credit for being as bad as they are. They're so bad. So bad. Burnt me out for a lifetime. And I was good at it too. So imagine people who aren't good at it. Man, this thing's looking beautiful. Loving it. Loving it. I feel like Bob Ross in here, except for doing woodwork. I said that before. I know some of y'all know. Look, it's already completely solidified. You see that? And the bowl is still warm, right? I do not want to hit the business end of that heat gun again. I softened up these edges with that sandpaper. I think that's just good for little kids who might get up under the table and pick their head up. You know, this edge, it'll conk them, but it won't it won't put a nick in their head. So, you know, softening up those edges, I think for people who are walking by the table and might not be paying attention, I think that's important. You know, I'm clumsy. You see, I just burnt myself on the heat gun, so. The stuff, it gets to a nice soft consistency where it can kind of be applied like butter, you know, and I actually like it like that because then I can kind of target out the areas that I want to add it to. I know I dropped a little right there. And you want to always apply oils and waxes until the wood rejects them, you know. And then you wait. I do a live, so I have to do it every day, but you can wait a couple of days, especially with like a tung oil and a solvent. Wait a couple of days for it to sink into the grain and then go after it again. Do another coat until it's really well treated and cured from all sides. It's been oiled or waxed or whatever your treatment is. Polyurethane. I'm not a big fan of polyurethane, but I have used it in the past. I try to use the natural waxes. I'm a hippie like that. You know, it's my hippy dippy BS that I do. But you know, even my conservative friends appreciate the work I do because there's craftsmanship involved with it. You know. Good old-fashioned American craftsmanship, which is what I demonstrate here. That's why I have so many great Russian and German and English people popping in on my live, because they appreciate great old-fashioned American craftsmanship. We built some of the greatest things in the world, man. Some of the most important furniture design innovations and trends came from America and our furniture inventors. Even our Japanese ones, like I was talking about the other day, George Nakashima, my favorite architect slash furniture designer, who was Japanese American but did that doesn't take anything away from him. In fact, it made him have an extra bit of culture to the way he designed his furniture. So George Nakashima, my favorite furniture. Someone asked me who my favorite furniture designer was. Nakashima changed American furniture, so I would say him. I also like the arts and crafts era of furniture, but definitely what Nakashima was doing with live edge stuff, which is really popular now. His styles, if you take a look at his stuff, it's beautiful. Yeah, this is probably, I would call this like the second coating of wax, the second full coating, but I have to go over the bark. So definitely I'm on my second or third coating here. And I started last week, so I waited over the weekend to put my second coat on. And definitely this is a thicker viscous substance, obviously, so it doesn't want to absorb in the wood. That's why I use the heat gun. I have experienced what I think is some bending in the stump, probably from the heat gun application, but I'm willing to take that, deal with that, you know. Doesn't bother me that much. I can flatten it out. I'll just take a planer over it when I'm finished, and then just do it again. Wax over the top. Smooth areas are pretty easy to wax. And then when people set drinks on it, they really don't even need to put coasters down. It'll leave beads of water on there. It won't leave a ring, because it'll be waterproof, like a cutting board. So probably, maybe the third Chardonnay. I don't know. It's the third time I've applied wax. I don't know if I would call it the third coat, because I haven't gone all the way over the whole stump on every single application. Smells like candles and oak in here right now. I also wanted to know if this wax coating worked for my bed, my bunk bed project, because I would like to apply this to the bunk bed, especially if it creates like a smooth surface where you can't get splinters. I mean, for the kids that are going to be climbing in, on that bed, I think it's probably a better option in that case. Yeah, linseed oil and beeswax. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio, but probably more like 1 to 1.5, so 3 to 2 linseed oil to beeswax. Beeswax is going to turn that linseed oil into it'll disappear. Or when you pour it in the beeswax when you're warming it up, it'll immediately freeze the beeswax where it goes in. It's the coolest thing. When you watch it go in, the beeswax around where the linseed oil goes in freezes, because beeswax apparently freezes at a very high temperature. I don't think so. Linseed oil is too thick. Just like this, I would have had problems with it getting into the grain. So maybe if I put linseed oil, if I mix the linseed oil down like 1 to 4 with mineral spirits or denatured alcohol or some sort of solvent, then put it down and then waxed it over that, I probably could have done it that way, Daniel, to answer your question in full. Maybe Heather will come back out here. We can flip the table so you can see what it looks like before I wrap it up for today. Shout out to everybody who's here. Welcome to Dad's Workshop. Make sure you click that like and subscribe button. Let me wipe my hands off with some alcohol because I got stuff all over my hands. Shout out all the friends of the program: Chardonnay, Daniel, Ruiz, J&J, who's new to the family. I'm going back to the beginning here. Yeah, a lot of a lot of folks in here. Make sure you click that subscribe button. I have a handful of regulars in here, but make sure that you drop a comment. We're okay with new people. We don't shun new people and make new people feel bad. So drop a comment and let us know who you are. You know, you don't have to tell us a whole lot. We like to hear from people. We talk and hang out. When you do this, it emulsifies it and it drips down, so it's not as clumpy. You know, some areas where it's kind of clumpy in here. Oh my gosh, no, I have not. Though I know they put like oil of wood rosin in Powerade and Gatorade or like sports drinks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I never understood why, but yeah, they do. That is strange. No, I've never heard of that wood infused ice cream. You know, I guess like it's earthy, so if you like pistachio, I don't know, like I guess nut, similar to wood. This is really oily too, so. There we go. Thanks, Heather. I like the shine and luster that this particular treatment gives it. Definitely, if my channel survives, I could probably bottle and market this stuff as like a wood butter or like a cutting board butter because it's really good for waterproofing and it's food safe. I make a lip balm that's actually not a whole lot different from this. The only difference is that I use olive oil instead of linseed oil. Olive oil and beeswax cooking dust. Somebody else on here, I think it was Haint, maybe Brian. One of the friends of the program says that they use olive oil and beeswax. Definitely a big time trick. Olive oil and beeswax on cutting boards and also on your lips and on your body, like anywhere you have like chafing, dry lips, dry elbows. In the winter, dry knuckles. It's really good on that, but it also works well to waterproof woodwork. This was the area where I found an insect nest yesterday. Doesn't look like there's any activity in there, so that's good news. A lot of repetition. You do a lot of things you do over and over again. I understand. Some of that schmutz on the top, I'll get. And the detail of the stump is still there, but the bark furrow is not as deep, so it's not going to have insects in it. It's not going to catch on people's clothing and fall off on the floor. Now it's leveled out, it's cured, it's flat, it's not going to move a lot, and it's waterproof. So maybe we'll use that on this too. That's what the next idea is, but that's a lot more material because, you know, look at the square just the square footage difference. It's a lot of material to put that treatment on. But definitely, I think that that's probably the next step. Maybe coming up with a little thinner recipe probably would help. Want to say shout out to Chardonnay, Daniel, Ruiz, J&J, whose first day it was today. Special thanks to Chardonnay and Daniel, and appreciate everyone being here today. I'm gonna wrap it up and put my hand in some ice water. I burnt myself pretty good. I will be back tomorrow again, same time, and maybe be working on the bed. I would like to work on that waterfall table. I have to design a leg. Thanks Chardonnay too for that compliment. Yeah, I need to come up with a concept for how I'm gonna build the leg for it, because either it has to come out of that slab of walnut, or I have to design a leg that's the same thickness as that walnut slab. So that's a problem I have to solve first. I'm gonna think about that. So probably a waterfall table we'll build in here. I kind of thought that that would be like, I would be doing that when I got to Patreon stage or like monetization stage, but you just got to keep building stuff until you get there. So I'm building the community. I appreciate each and every one of y'all so very much. I love you. I want to see you all back. Don't eat any wood infused ice cream. I'm highly suspicious of anybody who eats that. Love wood, but not to eat. It's not delicious. So make sure that you don't eat that. That's some wild hipster stuff that just takes it to the next level of stupidity. But no, it could be great. Let me say something positive. It could be great. Everybody take care. Love you all. Give somebody who you care about a hug. And I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.